When the three friends entered the fast food restaurant, it was a little bit crowded since some of the tables are taken while a few people are waiting in line to order and get their tickets to go and sit down and wait for their food to come out. As the three friends waited in line to order their food with 5 customers in front of them, one of the front doors opened and a familiar face has entered the fast food chain. She looks like Sally Acorn, but there are some things that are completely different about her. She has a different outfit on, she is carrying a whip in her holster, and she's giving off bad vibes like she's not afraid to start trouble. Something tells the three friends not to get on this lady's bad side. The lady then cut in front of the line to where the cashier is to order her food first after the female cat left after ordering and paying for her food. The 5 customers that were waiting in line saw this and wasn't happy from what the lady did. Excuse me, Princess Sally. You're going to need to wait in the back of the line like everyone else. The lady then appeared to be annoyed by this and spoke back to the cashier rudely. I don't really care about the peasants that are waiting in line behind me. Also, I'm not the princess of this little backwash rubbish kingdom. I'm from my own kingdom, and you can call me Alyssa Acorn. An elderly man in his 70s was taking his grandson to get something to eat when he spoke up out to the lady for her attitude to her, set her straight. Now, listen here, young lady. No matter how you are or what state, country, or planet you are from, you respect everyone here and they will respect you back no matter what your status is. But he got cut off from his sentence when Alyssa used her whip to tie the elderly man's legs and trapped him on his back. As the man fell backwards onto his back hard and hit the floor of the restaurant hard, he was in a lot of excruciating pain that he couldn't even scream, but just lay there and looking at the ceiling as his 8-year-old grandson ran over to check on him. Grandpa, are you okay? As the boy kneeled on the ground while checking on his grandpa, Alyssa Acorn then whipped her whip at the elderly man laying on the floor again, but the end was stopped in midair in front of him. Alyssa saw this and got confused to why her whip stopped in midair over the elderly man. A female voice behind the crowd then spoke up and said to Alyssa, I am not going to let you hurt or harm anyone else in this place when everyone is trying to get something to eat or drink and go on their way. The crowd then got shocked and surprised to see Princess Sally's adopted niece trying to stop her evil or anti-version, Alyssa Acorn. Fantasy then let go in hoping that she would stop and back down when Alyssa then got mad and irritated by her sudden interference of putting the elderly man in his place. The crowd then slowly and carefully sneaked out of the restaurant along with the boy and his grandpa while her and Fantasy have a talk. Tony and Hazel has a bad feeling this won't go well and decide to sit on one of the benches inside the restaurant to observe and watch the fight in case they need to jump in or get Fantasy out of there. Well, this is a rare encounter for me to see. I was not expecting to run into Sally Acorn's little brat that was just intervened. That has just intervened with me putting that old bag in his place for trying to stand up to me. I'll deal with him later along with getting my meal after I'm done beating you to a pulp, kid. She said as she then attacked Fantasy. Fantasy saw this and quickly dodged out of the way in trying to calm her down while dodging her attacks. While Alyssa is attacking Fantasy, she started breaking and knocking over the tables and chairs around her in order to get to Fantasy. Would you please calm down? I just don't want to hurt or accidentally take her innocent. I just don't want you to hurt or accidentally take an innocent elderly man's life in front of his grandson. I can do whatever I want, no matter how bad it is, even if I have to set people straight by whipping them until they are bleeding and in a lot of pain. After the fight between the two have lasted a few minutes, for some bruises and blood here and there on each other, they then reached a point from where they are 10 feet away from each other as they are taking a breather from the fighting and the blows that they have thrown each other's way. Alyssa then had the idea to make Fantasy get her guard down by saying this to her that she will later on regret deeply. How is the princess doing nowadays? Is she still stuffing her fat face with cupcakes, cookies, and other desserts while missing her blue buffoon of an ex-boyfriend? I bet she's an extremely fat, ugly cow now that nobody on Earth or Mobius will ever fall in love with her, since she looks like a hippopotamus right now. After Fantasy heard these hateful, insulting words from Alyssa was smiling as if she was about to win this fight, when she notices the lights flickering in front of her and over Fantasy too. They flicked on and off quickly that Alyssa for a quick second saw that Fantasy's look changed from something not scary to her to something horrifying and out of this world paranormal. For a quick second, she saw that her skin and clothes were a darker color from the colors that she's wearing. Her eyes even changed from her Sierra or being white to black, and her eye color from being purple to red in a quick second. All this happened while Fantasy was staring at her mad and angry. This confused and scared Alyssa from what she just saw. She would brush something off like this as a prank or something to scare her, but this felt 100% real, as if there is a pretense and not of this world presence in that part of the restaurant after what that happened. Fantasy didn't charge towards her quickly, and Alyssa saw this. After snapping out of it, she quickly used her whip to try and tie Fantasy up to a point from where she's completely strained so Alyssa can beat her up until she's barely breathing. However, Fantasy saw this and cut the rope into pieces, which then shocked Alyssa since all she has left is the handle of her rope. Fantasy then did a double leg drop kick at Alyssa's face in midair, which sent her flying and sliding towards the restrooms. Her head then hit the wall hard, which left a little crack on the wall between the men's and women's restroom along with blood on it. Later, when the ambulance and police arrived, the police looked at Dairy Queen King's security footage to see who attacked first in the altercation between Fantasy and Alyssa Acorn. Alyssa attacked first, and Fantasy was just mostly trying to avoid fighting and defending herself. The police then saved the downloaded the footage from the restaurant to use in court, along with the manager wanting her trespass from that restaurant forever. The restaurant decided to close for today due to the events that happened, as they needed to prepare and replace the chairs, tables, and much more in their restaurant. After the police complete their investigation on the restaurant, the police also put Alyssa under arrest for battery, assault, and many more after she gets checked out at the hospital and treated for her wounds too. They did hear from the hospital when the ambulance arrived there with Alyssa that she did wake up from being knocked out unconscious, but she began to vomit, and they believed that she might have a concussion. Our paramedics did assist with Fantasy's injuries too, since she only sustained minor injuries and gets to go free after the police get her and her friends' statements on what transpired too. The Dairy King restaurant did give Fantasy and her friends 25% off discount off on Dairy Queen dairy products of their purchase at their location, but the managers also plan on asking the head CEO can allow the other restaurant to do the same too. After Fantasy and her friends were allowed to freely leave the area, they then started to walk around the plaza to shop and look at stuff. Okay, now this is not part of the script, but keep in mind, like, you guys like see something like a public fight happening out in public. It's best not to intervene or anything because you don't want to get in trouble by the police or anyone else. So, I mean, it's best to just call the police and have the authorities deal with it. So, yeah. So, a little life advice right there. And I never did anything like this in life either. I mean, it's just part of the script with my OC's story, just different from my real life, life into like the fantasy, like fiction world, So yeah, my OC, any OC, So yeah, if anyone else is, or y'all get what I'm saying. So yeah.